Hello, this is Jason Bailey, and today I have Richard Wolfe of Wolfe, The Wolfe Speaks. You mentioned your Uncle Bill, Uncle Bill and Fred Myray. Who are the three people who have been most influential to you?
Well, I'll give those two probably the biggest credit, because I think without that work ethic piece, when I got into the restaurant business, I probably may not have been as successful, because it was just, work, get in there, work until it's done, learn what you have to learn to get and reach the goal, right? Fred was a little bit later in life, but the other one in between would have been Chip Miller. And I met Chip at Burger King when I first started there in the restaurant business in the manager training program. And I mean, he just taught me so much about the workings of a restaurant business. How to manage a shift. You know how to manage a shift well, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You can move that to anywhere in the business and it works. And then we got into P&L and numbers and such like that. But it was just the intricacies. And the one big thing I always take away in everything in life now is he's always had the comment. He says, "What are your possible bottlenecks?" And in the restaurant business, that meant where could things come to a grinding halt? If things go wrong, you got the wrong person, the wrong place. Not everybody's doing the right things.
Right.
So it's kind of how really made me be more proactive in everything now in life. I'm always kind of looking a step or two ahead. If we do this and go this direction, what do I kind of need to do to be prepared that's easier and better as we go?
Sure.
So that's I'd give those three guys the most of the credit from the top three that's affected and influenced me.
So you talked about coaching, you talked about speaking. So why do you want to pursue, or why are you pursuing this career in coaching?
In my gut and my heart, I knew, I said, I've got a message to share. I think, the way I can help people, and the few folks I work with informally, I really saw some drastic changes in their lives. And I said, I really think I can bring this to the world and help folks. But then as I really started to drill it down, okay, how do I want to do that, right? There's so many different formats today in the 21st century that you can use to bring your message to market, right? So as I really began to think, it was like, okay, if I really feel like I can make a difference for folks in their mindset, in their money, and in their marriage, then I think we should kind of develop that. For me, it's going to be more of like an online course strategy with the speaking and coaching as a segment to that. And again, they'll work hand in hand. But I want people to be able to step into my world, learn the strategies for the goal achieving, for mindset, money, marriage, and then take that out and apply it. And then we work together on a monthly basis to kind of check in and see, okay, where are you at? Maybe a little more frequently for some, but kind of tailor that program to each person to really what are they trying to achieve. Because as we look at our lives, there's so many different areas and things that we're doing. I do believe that most often there's going to be one area that if we focus on and really make it a priority, it's going to affect all the others, right? I guess we could narrow down the mindset, but for some people it might be their marriage that's going to affect positively everything else, right? Or their money, depending on what their situation is. So again, as I started to formulate that and really think about it, I'm like, it's just, these strategies are so key. And as I looked at other people that I know that have it together in some of these areas, or do a better job than most, their life seems to be much more peaceful. There's more joy in it, more happiness. They're not as stressed out, right?
Sure.
And as I begin to think about that, it's like, what? I have a good message and I have a perspective, because I think really that if we had to pick a target audience here, I might be getting a little off topic, but I think it's those people that kind of feel like they're stuck. Age is really irrelevant. You could be younger, older, in between, but do you feel like what you're doing and what you're trying, that you feel like you're doing some of the right stuff, it's just not working well for you? Normally it's just one or two little tweaks. There's one or two things that we got to stop and step back, be a little self-aware, do a little evaluating, ask a few hard questions, and okay, so how do we adjust that, right? One of them, going back to money real quick, I remember my daughter vividly, bless her heart, working, just coming out of high school, getting jobs and working. She said, "Dad, I can't afford that. Dad, I can't afford that." I'm like, "Sweetheart, let's change that phrase for you. Not from I can't afford it to how can I afford it?" Because what it's going to do is going to change the way you think about that. Or maybe I can't afford to get that new car today, but how can I afford it? Well, if I got a promotion at my job, I might be making enough money then I could afford it. if I put a little effort in over here to get a little raise on my job, then maybe I could. And of course, in today's world, maybe if I find something I'm passionate about and do it on the side, now I can afford that car, or whatever it is. So it really changes and opens up your mind to different opportunities and perspectives. And I think it really begins to change just the way you look at life in general as well.
That's very interesting. So you were coaching your daughter to ultimately change her mindset.
Kind of, sort of, that's probably not easy to coach your kids, or anybody that close to you, but just that one piece, at some point I want to say, gosh, that's probably been several years ago since we've kind of had that conversation, but over time, a couple times more. But I remember actually recently, I want to say it might have been a few months ago, that she made the comment, Dad, I know you said, how can I afford it? But I'm struggling with that right now. Different, I forget what the situation was in her life at the time, but I said, well, let's talk about it, babe. And it's interesting for her. We have been able to have those good conversations and really kind of flesh things out for her. And when she was younger, didn't want to hear all that stuff. But now that she's gotten older, because now she's 30, she's a little more open.
Yeah, I bet. Well, at least you planted the seeds, and now she's coming back for that advice and to talk things through. So good job on that one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm proud of her for just, opening her mind up, because so many times, kids get this viewpoint from another environment, and then they bring it into there, and it's just not always correct, but at least she's open to make some changes, so that's good.
Very good. A lot of great information today. Richard, where can our viewers find you? Where can they see you online?
Well, on most of the social places, I actually think all of them, The Wolfe, W-O-L-F-E, Speaks, on your Instagram, your Facebooks, and then Richard at thewolfspeaks.com is my email, and then I have also, of course, the thewolfspeaks.com website. So reach out to any of those spots, give me some contact information. I promise to work and give you some value and really help you with some simple strategies I think that can help. And if you want to go deeper, that's fine. We'll talk about that then.
So once again, the 3 M's:
Mindset, money, and marriage.
You heard it here. The Wolfe Speaks. Richard Wolfe. I'm Jason Bailey, signing off. Have a great day.